First Contact and Ultimatum. The quantum detection arrays on Luna Base picked up the signal first. It wasn't the usual background noise of the cosmos or the regular merchant vessels that frequented the Sol system's trading routes. This was different. A massive fleet of ships, unlike anything humanity had encountered in its 3 centuries of space exploration. Dr. Sarah Chen, head of Earth's Sinological Relations Department, stood before the holographic display, her dark eyes reflecting the countless red dots representing the incoming vessels. The room was silent save for the soft hum of quantum computers processing the data. Behind her, representatives from Earth's United Council waited, their breathing the only sign of their mounting tension. "They're not using any known shipping lanes," she noted, her finger tracing the fleet's trajectory. "And their formation. It's military." The door slid open with a soft hiss as Admiral James Rodriguez entered, his weathered face grave. The quantum entanglement communicator just received their message. "They're calling themselves the Galactic Regulatory Council." He paused, letting the words sink in. "They're demanding tribute." Sarah's fingers flew across the holographic interface, bringing up the full message. The terms were clear, clinical, and absolute. Earth was to submit 30% of its annual resources, hand over key technological innovations, and provide biological assets for what they termed galactic advancement. "They've given us 72 hours to comply," Rodriguez continued, his voice steady despite the implications. "After that, they claim they'll begin what they call administrative action." Sarah allowed herself a small smile, one that didn't reach her eyes. "They'd really have no idea, do they?" For the past century, humanity had maintained a careful facade. While openly trading and engaging with other species, they had kept their true capabilities hidden. Project Shadowfall, initiated after the First Contact Wars, had ensured that Earth appeared to be just another developing civilization, promising but not threatening. The reality was far different. Deep beneath the surface of Mars, automated factories stretched for hundreds of kilometers, producing quantum-enhanced warships. Jupiter's moons housed energy arrays capable of harnessing the gas giant's electromagnetic field. And scattered throughout the Kuiper Belt, stealth platforms maintained constant vigil, gathering intelligence on every species that passed through the solar system. "Initiate Protocol Omega," Sarah commanded, her voice echoing in the chamber. "And send word to our deep-cover operatives in the Council worlds. It's time they learned why Earth never joined their precious confederation." The next 48 hours were a carefully choreographed dance of preparation and deception. While Earth's official channels broadcast messages of panic and diplomatic pleas for more time, the real work happened in the shadows. Quantum-cloaked ships slipped into position. Sleeper agents activated their protocols. And in the vast network of underground facilities, humanity's true fleet awakened. The Council's diplomatic vessel arrived right on schedule, descending through Earth's atmosphere with the arrogant confidence of those used to submission. They landed at the designated site in Geneva, where Earth's representatives waited with appropriate shows of deference. The Council delegation emerged, a mix of species that considered themselves the galaxy's ruling elite. Their leader, a tall crystalline being called High Administrator Zixtal, stepped forward with the practiced grace of one accustomed to power. "We trust you have prepared your tribute." The translator rendered their words in perfect English, though the tone of condescension needed no interpretation. Sarah Chen stepped forward, her simple black uniform a stark contrast to the Council members' ornate regalia. "We have indeed prepared something for you, High Administrator." She gestured to a small quantum storage device floating beside her. "This contains a complete inventory of Earth's response to your demands." Zixtal's crystalline form shimmered with what might have been amusement. They reached for the device with a languid gesture. "We are pleased by your quick comp." The words died as the storage device projected its contents. Instead of resource manifests and submission protocols, it showed the true extent of Earth's military might. Quantum battleships emerging from hidden bases, energy weapons that could destabilize stars. And most importantly, the locations of every sleeper agent humanity had placed in Council space over the past century. This, Sarah said into the stunned silence, is humanity's tribute, a demonstration of why your Council's methods of extortion and subjugation are about to change. She stepped closer to the now rigid administrator. You see, we've spent decades studying your civilization, learning your weaknesses, preparing for this moment. You dare threaten the Council? Zixtal's voice carried both rage and a note of fear they couldn't quite hide. Threaten? No. Sarah's smile was razor-sharp. We're simply showing you the reality you've been too arrogant to see. Earth doesn't submit. We never have. And now, you have a choice to make. As if on cue, the sky above Geneva lit up as Earth's cloaking fields dropped, revealing thousands of warships in high orbit. Similar reports began flooding in from Council space as human agents revealed themselves in key positions throughout their government. You can either work with us to create a truly equitable galactic community, Sarah continued, or you can learn firsthand why every species that has ever tried to conquer Earth has failed. The High Administrator's crystalline form clouded with conflicting emotions. Around them, their subordinates shifted nervously, some already reaching for communication devices to contact their homeworlds. You have 1 hour to decide, Sarah concluded. Unlike you, we believe in giving choices rather than ultimatums. But make no mistake, the era of the Council's unchecked power is over. The only question is whether it ends with cooperation or conflict. As she turned to leave, Sarah allowed herself to reflect on the decades of preparation that had led to this moment. Humanity had learned long ago that the best defense wasn't just military might or technological superiority. It was the patience to wait for the perfect moment to reveal them. The Council had arrived expecting to find sheep ready for shearing. Instead, they had walked into a wolf's den. And now, the galaxy was about to learn why Earth had spent centuries preparing for this very day. In the quantum-secured command center beneath Geneva, Sarah watched as reports flooded in from across Council space. The carefully placed pieces of humanity's grand strategy were falling into place with clockwork precision. The game had begun, and Earth had just made its opening move. The next few hours would determine whether the galaxy would embrace a new era of cooperation, or learn firsthand why humanity's apparent submission had been the greatest deception in galactic history. The tribute ceremony. The Council's central chamber on Proxima Centauri Station was designed to intimidate. Towering crystalline spires reached toward the artificial sky, while quantum-locked platforms floated at various heights, carrying representatives from 1,000 worlds. The message was clear: bow before the majesty of galactic civilization. High Administrator Zixtal had chosen to accept Earth's invitation to a formal tribute ceremony, though the term burned like acid in their crystalline matrix. The past week had been chaos as human agents revealed themselves across Council space, each holding positions far too close to critical systems for comfort. The human delegation ship dropped out of quantum space with precision that made several Council members shift uncomfortably. It wasn't the usual crude FTL technology most developing worlds used. This was something different, something that shouldn't have been possible according to Council records. Dr. Sarah Chen led the Earth delegation, accompanied by Admiral Rodriguez and a team of what appeared to be diplomatic aides. Their simple black uniforms stood in stark contrast to the ornate regalia of the Council members, yet somehow made the Council's display of wealth seem gaudy rather than impressive. "Welcome to Proxima Centauri Station," Zixtal announced, their voice echoing through the chamber. "We are prepared to receive Earth's formal tribute and discuss terms for your world's integration into the greater galactic community." Sarah's smile hadn't changed since their last meeting. "Of course, High Administrator, we've prepared something special for this occasion." She gestured, and one of her aides stepped forward with what appeared to be a simple quantum storage cube. The cube projected a hologram, but instead of military displays, it showed something that made several Council members lean forward in confusion. It was a simple Earth classroom, filled with young humans learning about the cosmos. "Our first tribute," Sarah announced, is knowledge. A hologram shifted, showing centuries of human history, wars, peace, technological advancement, and social evolution. We offer you the understanding of why your current system of governance is fundamentally flawed. Before Zixtal could protest, the hologram changed again. Now it displayed the corruption within the council itself. Deals made in shadows, species subjugated for resources, the systematic suppression of technological advancement to maintain control, all gathered by human agents over decades. Our second tribute, Sarah continued, her voice carrying easily through the now silent chamber, is truth. From their platform, a representative of the Arcturus Confederation stood abruptly. How dare you? How dare we? Admiral Rodriguez spoke for the first time, his voice calm but carrying an edge of steel. We dare because we've watched you exploit developing civilizations. We dare because we've seen how you manipulate technological progress to maintain your power. We dare because someone has to. The hologram shifted again, this time showing a new type of quantum drive, one that could revolutionize galactic travel. Then medical technologies that could help species the Council had deemed unprofitable to assist. Innovation after innovation, each carefully hidden from Council surveillance over centuries. Our third tribute, Sarah announced, is progress, freely given to all species, not just those who can pay your exorbitant fees or submit to your demands. The chamber erupted in chaos. Some representatives were shouting in outrage. Others were frantically communicating with their homeworlds, and a few, a growing few, were watching with obvious interest. Zixtal's crystalline form had clouded to nearly opaque. You would destroy centuries of stability. We would replace artificial stability with true cooperation, Sarah corrected. Which brings us to our final tribute. The hologram expanded to fill the entire chamber. It showed Earth's true fleet, yes, but also something more. Ships from dozens of other species, all waiting in quantum-cloaked positions throughout Council space. Species that had secretly allied with humanity, tired of Council domination. Our final tribute is choice, Sarah declared. Right now, ships are delivering quantum packages to every world in Council space. They contain everything we've shown you here. The corruption, the innovations we're sharing, and a choice. Join us in creating a new galactic community based on genuine cooperation and mutual growth, or cling to your old ways and watch as the galaxy evolves without you. A new voice rang out. The representative from the Sirius Collective, a species known for their philosophical insights. You've hidden all this power, all this knowledge, only to give it away. Why? Sarah's expression softened slightly. Because true power isn't about domination. It's about lifting others up. Humanity learned that lesson through centuries of our own struggles. We could have revealed ourselves years ago, could have fought our way to dominance, but that would have made us no better than the Council. Admiral Rodriguez stepped forward. Instead, we waited. We watched. We learned. And we found others who shared our vision. The Proxima Liberation Alliance, the Free Worlds of Centaurus, the Arcturus Reform Movement, all working together, hidden from Council surveillance, preparing for this moment. Around the chamber, certain representatives began to stand. Those from worlds that had secretly allied with Earth. One by one, they descended from their platforms to stand with the human delegation. Decades of careful diplomacy and shared vision, finally revealed. The old Council is finished, Sarah announced, not with triumph but with quiet certainty. You can either help us build something better, or you can step aside. The choice, the true tribute we offer, is yours. Zixtal's form had stabilized, but their voice carried a new tone, something close to respect. You realize some will resist. Not all will accept this tribute. We know, Sarah acknowledged. Change is never easy. But look around you. Look how many are ready for something better. That's why we revealed ourselves this way, not with weapons, but with truth and opportunity. The chamber had grown quiet, but it was a different kind of quiet than before. Not the silence of intimidation, but of contemplation, of possibility. In the quantum-secured communication hub of their ship, Sarah's team was already receiving responses from worlds across the galaxy. Some pledged immediate support. Others requested time to consider. A few promised resistance. But as Sarah watched the council chamber transform from a symbol of oppression into the birthplace of something new, she knew they had chosen the right path. Humanity's greatest tribute wasn't their military might or hidden technology. It was the chance to help the galaxy become something better than it had been. The real work was just beginning. The hidden protocol. In the depths of Europa Station, beneath kilometers of ice, Admiral Rodriguez stood before a quantum display showing real-time updates from across Council space. Dozens of holographic markers blinked in various colors, each representing a different species' response to Earth's revelation. Green for allies, yellow for undecided, red for hostile. The Centauri worlds have officially declared their support, his AI assistant reported. That makes 17 major systems that have broken from Council control in the past 48 hours. Dr. Sarah Chen entered the command center, her usual composed demeanor showing signs of fatigue. The past 2 days had been a whirlwind of diplomatic communications, as centuries of careful planning finally bore fruit. The Council loyalists are mobilizing their fleet near Arcturus, she announced, but they're finding their command codes mysteriously invalid. Funny how that happens when your entire cybersecurity infrastructure has been quietly maintained by human-allied AI for the past decade. Rodriguez allowed himself a grim smile. Protocol Odysseus is working exactly as designed. How's the knowledge distribution proceeding? Better than expected. Sarah brought up a new holographic display. The quantum packets we released are being downloaded and shared faster than the Council can suppress them. People are learning the truth about their history, their potential, their suppressed innovations. The Council's carefully maintained ignorance is breaking down. A sudden alert drew their attention. A new quantum signature had appeared in the Sol system, a massive ship of unknown configuration. Before either of them could react, a familiar crystalline face appeared on their main display. Administrator Zixtal, Sarah acknowledged, hiding her surprise. This is unexpected. The crystalline being's form had changed since their last meeting, their usually rigid structure showing subtle patterns that Sarah's xenological training recognized as signs of transformation. Dr. Chen, Admiral, I believe it's time we discuss the full scope of what you call Protocol Odysseus. Sarah and Rodriguez exchanged glances. This wasn't part of their planned scenarios. Your quantum transmission contained more than just revelations about Council corruption, Zixtal continued. Hidden within the data, encrypted in ways that only certain crystalline neural patterns could decode, was a message, a truth about my own species that the Council has suppressed for millennia. Sarah's expression remained neutral, but her pulse quickened. This was the deepest layer of their plan, one so secret that only a handful of humans knew about it. Your species, Zixtal said, their form shimming with emotion, wasn't the first to resist Council dominion. My ancestors, the original crystalline collective, built an alliance of free worlds. Until the precursors of today's Council destroyed them, rewrote our neural patterns, turned us into willing enforcers of their regime. Protocol Odysseus wasn't just about exposing corruption, Sarah confirmed. It was about awakening memories, truths hidden in the quantum structures of a dozen species' neural patterns. Your people weren't the only ones transformed by the old Council. Around the solar system, Earth's quantum sensors detected more ships arriving. But these weren't Council vessels. They were ships from species that had appeared loyal to the Council for centuries. Species whose quantum data packets had contained specially encoded information, triggering dormant memories and breaking ancient neural blocks. The Arcturian Hivemind has declared independence from Council control, the AI reported. The Syrian collective is experiencing widespread neural pattern shifts. The Proxima Defense Force has turned against Council loyalists. Rodriguez brought up a tactical display. How many of the Council's enforcer species received their special data packets? All of them. Sarah replied. Humanity didn't just study the Council's corruption. We found evidence of their original sin, how they identified species with the potential to resist them, then modified them into loyal servants. We spent decades developing the quantum keys to unlock those transformed neural patterns. Zixtal's form had stabilized into a new configuration, one that seemed both ancient and newly evolved. You could have used this knowledge as a weapon, released it suddenly, thrown Council space into chaos. Instead, you built a network of allies, prepared support structures, ensured the awakening would be controlled. Because the goal was never destruction, Sarah explained. It was restoration, liberation, not just of individual species, but of the very idea of what galactic civilization could be. New alerts flashed across their displays. Across Council space, ships were emerging from quantum storage, bearing designs unlike anything seen in millennia. The awakened species were remembering not just their true histories, but their original technologies, philosophies, and alliances. The hidden protocol, Sarah continued, wasn't just about exposing the Council's crimes. It was about healing wounds inflicted so long ago that most species didn't even know they were wounded. Humanity's role wasn't to conquer or dominate. It was to be the catalyst for remembrance. Rodriguez's tactical displays were shifting rapidly now, as ancient alliances reformed and long-dormant defense systems reactivated. The Council's enforcer species, their neural patterns finally free of ancient constraints, were remembering who they had been, who they could be again. There will be resistance, Zixtal warned. Those who profit from the old system will not surrender easily. We know, Sarah acknowledged. That's why we spent centuries preparing, building networks of allies, positioning resources, developing technologies to counter any response. But the most powerful weapon in Protocol Odysseus isn't our ships or our innovations. It's the truth itself. As if to emphasize her words, new quantum transmissions were flooding in from across the galaxy. Species after species, awakening to their true histories, remembering alliances and friendships that predated the Council's rise to power. The carefully maintained structure of Council dominion was unraveling, not through violence, but through remembrance. The golden age that the Council had claimed to protect had never existed. But now, perhaps with the chains of enforced ignorance finally broken, a real golden age could begin. In Europa Station's command center, Sarah watched the galaxy transforming. Humanity's hidden protocol wasn't just changing the political landscape. It was healing wounds thousands of years old, awakening potentials long suppressed, and offering the galaxy a chance to become what it should have been all along. The real challenge was just beginning, but for the first time in millennia, it would be faced by species remembering their true selves, their true strengths, and their true allies. Revolution in the stars. The Arcturus Nexus, once the proud symbol of Council military might, had become the epicenter of revolution. Quantum communication streamed in from thousands of worlds as ancient species, newly awakened to their true histories, coordinated their efforts. At the heart of this storm, Dr. Sarah Chen and a coalition of representatives from awakened species worked to prevent the galaxy from tearing itself apart. The Rigel sector has gone dark, announced Qatar, once a minor bureaucrat in the Council's administration, now revealed as a dormant strategic mind of the ancient Vertexian Empire. Their crystalline form, similar to but distinctly different from Zixtal's species, pulsed with concern. Council loyalist forces are attempting to establish a blockade. Sarah studied the quantum tactical display, where red markers indicated growing concentrations of Council military forces. They're trying to isolate the awakened worlds, prevent the spread of information. She turned to Admiral Rodriguez, who had just arrived through a quantum tunnel from Sol. Status of the Liberation Fleet. Ready, Rodriguez confirmed. Earth's ships have been joined by vessels from 37 awakened species. Many of them are operating technology that hasn't been seen in millennia. The Council's standardized weapons won't stand a chance against the combined knowledge of races they spent so long suppressing. But Sarah's expression remained troubled. We need to minimize casualties. Every council ship is crewed by people who might still be under neural suppression. They're not our enemies. They're potential allies who haven't awakened yet. The quantum display suddenly shifted, showing new tactical movements. Council loyalist forces were advancing on multiple fronts, but their formations were strange, almost chaotic. Zixtal, who had become one of their strongest allies, studied the patterns with growing concern. They're desperate, the crystalline being observed. The council leaders who remember the truth, who know what they did to suppress our species. They're throwing everything they have at us. They know that every hour that passes, more of their subjects are awakening to the truth. A new alert flashed across the display. The Council's capital world, Nexus Prime, had initiated some kind of massive quantum pulse. Sarah's eyes widened as she recognized the pattern. They're trying to reinforce the neural suppression. She quickly brought up additional data streams. They're using the quantum network to broadcast a signal that would strengthen the old blocks, maybe even reverse the awakening in some species. Rodriguez immediately began issuing orders to the fleet, but Sarah raised her hand to stop him. Her lips curved into a slight smile. "Let them try," she said softly. "They don't realize what they're actually doing." The quantum pulse spread across council space like a wave, touching world after world. But instead of suppressing the awakening, each point of contact created new breakthroughs. The Council's desperate attempt to reassert control had played directly into humanity's deepest strategy. The original protocol Odysseus, Sarah explained to the bewildered representatives, wasn't just about breaking the neural blocks. We designed it to use the Council's own suppression network as an amplification system. The harder they try to reinforce control, the more they spread the awakening. Zixtal finished, their crystalline form brightening with understanding. You built this into the quantum keys from the beginning. Every attempt to suppress becomes a catalyst for liberation. Across the galaxy, the Council's actions were backfiring spectacularly. Their quantum pulse, designed to reinforce control, was instead shattering the last remnants of neural suppression. Ships that had been advancing to attack suddenly stopped as their crews awakened to their true histories. Defense networks thought loyal to the Council turned to protect the worlds they had been ordered to assault. But not everyone was awakening to peace. Some species remembered ancient grudges, old wounds that went deeper than Council suppression. This was the true challenge that Sarah and her allies had prepared for. "This is where humanity's real role begins," she announced to the assembled representatives. "We've spent centuries not just preparing for liberation, but studying how to prevent the chaos that freedom might bring. Each quantum key we design doesn't just unlock memories. It prioritizes memories of cooperation, of alliances, of peace." The quantum display showed new patterns forming. Awakened species were naturally grouping themselves according to ancient alliances, but also forming new connections based on shared experiences and complementary strengths. The Council maintained control at forcing uniformity. Rodriguez added, "Our goal is to encourage diversity while building bridges between different ways of being. Unity without uniformity. Strength through cooperation rather than submission." A series of explosions lit up the quantum display. The remaining Council loyalist forces, led by those who had engineered the original suppression, were making their final stand. But they were facing something unprecedented in galactic history. A coalition of species fighting not for dominance, but for the right of all species to be truly themselves. Earth's fleet, joined by ships of designs unseen for millennia, moved into position. They weren't just fighting with superior technology. They were fighting with the accumulated wisdom of dozens of species who remembered what the galaxy had lost to Council control. "All forces," Sarah broadcast across the quantum network, her voice reaching every awakened world, "remember our primary directive. Minimal casualties, maximum protection. We're not here to destroy the old order, but to heal it. Every life we save is another mind that might awaken to the truth." The battle that followed would be remembered not for its destruction, but for its precision. Awakened species, combining their restored technologies with strategies honed over countless hidden centuries, systematically dismantled the Council's military capability while preserving as many lives as possible. In the end, it wasn't Earth's military might that won the day. It was the sight of species after species laying down arms as they awakened, choosing to join a future built on cooperation rather than control. The Council's last desperate gambit had become the key to their own transformation. As the quantum display showed the last Council strongholds requesting surrender, Sarah looked around at the assembled representatives. Each of them carried memories of both oppression and awakening, of loss and restoration. "The revolution in the stars isn't over," she told them. "In many ways, it's just beginning. But for the first time in millennia, we're free to face our challenges together, as equals, each bringing our unique strengths to build something greater than any one species could achieve alone." The quantum network lit up with signals of agreement from across the galaxy. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter, as if celebrating the dawn of a new age, one built not on submission and tribute, but on remembrance and hope. A new galactic order. 1 year after the Great Awakening, the former council chamber on Proxima Centauri Station had been transformed. Gone were the towering spires meant to intimidate. In their place stood a circular forum where representatives from all species, both ancient and emerging, could meet as equals. The quantum-enhanced architecture shifted and flowed, adapting to accommodate the needs of each species that entered. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the center of this new assembly of worlds, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber, and through quantum networks, to billions of beings across the galaxy. 1 year ago, we gathered here to break chains that had bound us for millennia, she began. Today, we gather to celebrate not just what we've undone, but what we've built in its place. The chamber's holographic displays came to life, showing images from across known space, new trade routes connecting formerly isolated worlds, ancient technologies being combined with modern innovations, species once forced into rigid roles now exploring their full potential. The transition hasn't been easy, Sarah continued, acknowledging the challenges they'd faced. Freedom, as we've learned, comes with its own complexities. Indeed, the past year had been filled with both triumphs and struggles. Some species, upon awakening, had initially sought revenge for ancient wrongs. Others had struggled to find their place in a galaxy suddenly free of imposed order. The former council leaders who had engineered the original suppression had to be brought to justice, but in a way that broke the cycle of violence rather than perpetuating it. Admiral Rodriguez, now serving as Earth's representative to the Assembly, stood to address the gathered species. "Humanity's role has evolved," he announced. "We began as catalysts for awakening. Now we serve as mediators, helping different species understand each other's perspectives and find common ground." Zixtal, their crystalline form now permanently transformed into its true ancestral pattern, added their own observations. "The most remarkable achievement isn't the technological renaissance or the economic growth. It's how we've learned to balance unity with diversity. Each species is free to develop according to its own nature while contributing to the greater whole." The holographic displays shifted to show the new galactic university system, centers of learning where species freely shared knowledge and innovations. The old council's practice of technological suppression had been replaced by open collaboration, leading to advancements that benefited all. "But our greatest challenges lie ahead," Sarah reminded the Assembly. "We've discovered that the galaxy is larger and more complex than the Council led us to believe. There are other civilizations beyond our known space, some possibly as advanced as we are. We need to be prepared not just to defend our freedom, but to share its benefits with others we may encounter." The quantum network hummed with activity as representatives shared their thoughts and concerns. The former council species who had awakened to their true selves were among the most passionate advocates for continued growth and exploration. Tar, the Vertexian strategist, presented data showing the discovery of quantum signatures suggesting civilizations beyond the former council's borders. "We're detecting signs of advanced technological activity in the galactic core and several spiral arms. The galaxy is more alive than we knew." This revelation led to the Assembly's most ambitious project yet, the establishment of first contact protocols based on respect and mutual benefit rather than domination. Earth's centuries of careful observation and peaceful infiltration had provided a model for how to approach unknown civilizations. "We're not just building a new order," Sarah explained. "We're creating a new way of thinking about civilization itself, one based on the principle that diversity isn't just to be tolerated. It's essential for growth and innovation." The Assembly Chamber's quantum field rippled as representatives from dozens of species stood to pledge their support for this vision. Even former Council loyalists who had initially resisted the change were now among its strongest supporters, their awakened memories showing them the possibility of a better way. The old Council maintained power by convincing species they needed protection and guidance, Rodriguez observed. "Our new Assembly thrives by encouraging each species to protect and guide itself, while working together on challenges that affect us all." As the session drew to a close, Sarah activated one final holographic display. It showed the galaxy as it truly was, not just the familiar spiral arms and star clusters, but the quantum connections binding all species together. Lines of communication, trade routes, cultural exchanges, and scientific collaboration formed a beautiful, intricate web. "This is who we really are," she told the Assembly. "Not a hierarchy of dominant and submissive species, but a network of equals, each contributing our unique strengths to create something greater than ourselves. The tribute we now pay isn't in resources or submission. It's in creativity, innovation, and cooperation." The quantum network carried her words to every world in known space, translated into thousands of languages, each species hearing and understanding in their own way. The message was clear. The age of empire and tribute was over. The age of collaboration and mutual growth had begun. As the Assembly concluded its session, Sarah met with her team in their quantum-secured chamber. The displays showed new challenges emerging. Unexplored regions of space, evolving relationships between species, the ongoing process of healing ancient wounds. But unlike the old Council, they didn't face these challenges alone. "The humans have a saying," she told her colleagues from a dozen different species. "The whole is greater than the sum of its parts." That's what we're building here, not just a new galactic order, but a new understanding of what's possible when different species work together as equals. The quantum network pulsed with messages of agreement from across the galaxy. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter, illuminating not just the present moment but the promise of a future where every species could reach its full potential. In the end, humanity's greatest contribution wasn't their military might or technological innovations. It was their vision of a galaxy where diversity was strength, where cooperation replaced control, and where the greatest tribute any species could offer was simply being truly, completely themselves.